Dr. Melina Abdullah, good morning.
Good morning, Sister Dominique.
Welcome in. It's May, and the your organization put up a really powerful statement about all of the things that are happening in May that are making it feel especially intense. And as we approach May 25th, which will be 5 years since the murder of George Floyd, it feels like, I don't know, there's some heaviness in the air, particularly with the rumors going around of a pardon for Chauvin and the sort of moves towards complete immunity for cops that we see the Trump administration making. But many organizations, including BLM, Black Lives Matter LA, are marking his Angel-versary today or starting this whole week, right?
Yeah, so here in Los Angeles, we'll be rallying in honor of George Floyd today. Folks in LA who listen to your show especially know that Wednesday is protest day for BLM LA. Bob Lake Healy would say every Wednesday, right? So every Wednesday we're out. And this Wednesday is a really, really important Wednesday as we rally in front of what we call the Hall of Injustice, where Nathan Hochman is the district attorney and is backed by police associations that are not unions. And so we'll be there rallying in honor of George Floyd. We expect many, many folks to be with us. I think we're up to about 25 co-endorsers for today's rally at 4 o'clock downtown at 211 West Temple. So we'll be doing that and starting with that in LA. And then of course, we're continuing our push around the budget, which we know that even though we'd always been engaged in budget questions, George Floyd really helped us elevate the call to defund the police, which I know some people don't like that term, but that's what we mean. It's a policy demand. It's not a snappy slogan. It's a policy demand, although it might be a little snappy, right? And so the idea is to protect housing, to protect city worker jobs, those kinds of things, city programs, rather than overspending on police. So we'll be there this morning for the last public comment that we can make on the budget as City Council prepares to vote on it tomorrow. And then the last action that we're doing in honor of George Floyd is, I don't know if everyone knows, but we have a lot of, you hear me criticizing elected officials a lot, but sometimes there's actions that we can praise. And so to me, Heather Hutt has been doing a great job on a few fronts when we talk about the renaming of Malcolm X Way. But also, I don't know if everyone is aware that Councilwoman Hutt, whose district I live in, was really instrumental in getting only the third George Floyd fist in the entire nation installed in what some people call Leimert Park, also known as Africatown. So on Sunday, which is George Floyd's actual Angel-versary at 5 o'clock, we'll be gathering at the Fist statue in Leimert Park for a libation for him and to do more of an honoring of his Angel-versary and what his spirit sparked for Los Angeles, but also the world.
Wow. So that as far as the left coast LA side, the actions around George Floyd's Angel-versary start today and they go all the way through Sunday. And I know people can go to BLM Los Angeles, right, on all socials to find out more about, or to remind themselves of what's going on.
Right, right. BLM Los Angeles on Instagram and BLM LA on X, which we're still on. I know we gonna make our way over to the other platforms, but we're not there yet.
Yeah, well, yeah, the the press conference that y'all had yesterday was really interesting to hear from the Twin Cities chapter of Black Lives Matter Grassroots, and just how the work is moving there. How there's commemorations and such of George Floyd, but there's also other work going on. that might not seem, related, but also comes out of the energizing of organizing that happened in 2020.
That's right. That's right. And one of the reasons 2020 was such a moment, a watershed moment in this world, right? When we talk about the largest protests in history, is because there was a movement building to meet that moment. Black Lives Matter was born in Los Angeles in 2013, but the Twin Cities chapter is one of the oldest chapters within BLM Grassroots, right? So the work of people like Chantel Allen is really pivotal to why Minneapolis was able to rise up in the way that it was. And so they've been building around things like liberated education in our schools, something that we're fighting for right now as the right wing tries to do everything from erode Black studies to take the B out of the Black Student Achievement Plan, or with Students Deserve says they're trying to take the B out of BSAP, to, I don't know if everybody knows about this terrible bill that's moving, that the Jewish JPAC, Jewish Political Action Committee, is pushing, which will criminalize, can criminalize people in the classrooms for speaking about Palestine, and even school board members for speaking about Palestine. That's AB 715, which we're attempting to block in California. Well, in Minneapolis, or Twin Cities, St. Paul, Minneapolis, they've been moving work like that. They've been moving work to defund the police and to abolish prisons. And so all of that is happening leading up to George Floyd weekend, which is next week or this coming weekend in Minneapolis. So yes, there'll be protests, but more important than the moments of protest is also the ongoing work. And they've been carrying such beautiful work for many, many years, at least since 2014.
Yeah, it's encouraging, and I think it's important for folks to know, because we don't see millions and millions of people in the streets all over the world, but it's important to remember that the work is still going on, and that there are currently there's 39 chapters, right? And it's of Black Lives Matter Grassroots, the real actual Black Lives Matter, and it's about to increase even more.
That's right. There's 39 chapters around the country. We have 10 more who are now in their 4th week of onboarding. So a chapter doesn't just pop up and become a chapter. They go through political education and training and workshops and community building, and it takes about 2 months, which we do every year, for them to come on to Black Lives Matter Grassroots. So right now we're 39 chapters, but by June and welcomed in July, which will be our 12th anniversary, we should be about 49 chapters, which is the largest that Black Lives Matter has ever been. We've only ever had, the max before now was 40 chapters. So that's without the dollars, it's without the platforms, the quiet work, the important work, and the work that's motivated by movement, not motivated by money, continues to move. So we're really, really grateful to all of the folks who say, whether there's a news camera or a dollar or a social media tweet that goes viral, right? We're going to continue to do the work, because especially in times of fascism, Black people can't just be quiet and accept the fate that white supremacists are trying to hand to us.
Mm. Yeah, more on that to come. If you want to get in on this conversation, you're always invited. 800-920-1580, 800-920-1580, or jump on YouTube at KBLA 1580. Get in those comments. The comments section is always percolating during this show. And you are welcome to weigh in on any of our social media platforms at KBLA 1580. You can go to BLM Los Angeles or Black Lives Matter Grassroots, or diprimaradio, DIPRIMA, and then radio. Say a thing, and I will hear you. You're listening to KBLA Talk 1580.
She's reclaiming her time on KBLA Talk 1580. More First Things First with Dominique DiPrima when we come forward.
Imagine every pregnant person in LA County having the support they deserve. A doula on every block. Doulas provide emotional, physical, and informational support during pregnancy, through labor, and beyond. Medi-Cal now covers doula care. That means you can get the support you need or train to support families in your community. The LA County Medi-Cal Doula Hub is here to help. Learn more and get started today at ladoulahub.com.
We've got a lot to talk about.
Hi, I'm Zoe Williams, aka The Voice of Reason, encouraging you to join me weekdays from 7 to 9 p.m. for the world's most intriguing relationship radio roundtable. Every night, I facilitate and encourage our loyal listeners to participate in the most engaging relationship discussions you'll hear anywhere. So make it a point to rendezvous with me, Zoe Williams, the Voice of Reason, Monday through Friday, 7 to 9 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Trust me, your relationships will never be the same. The VOR is on fire tonight.
Unapologetically progressive. KBLA Talk 1580. We've got your black.
You really about to do it? 40 acres and a mule. This is bigger than the music. You really about to do it? Yeah, they tried to rig the game, but you can't fake influence.
Who among us doesn't like black music? But Kendrick is right. This moment is so much bigger than music. These are serious times. We've got serious problems, and we need serious people who understand that slogans are not solutions. When you want substantial and sober analysis about things that matter to you and the ones you love, this is where you turn. We're KBLA Talk 1580, and we've got your black. Your ancestors' favorite radio station, and your favorite morning show host. Let's get back to Dominique DiPrima right now.
Right now, indeed, we're talking with Dr. Melina Abdullah and you, 800-920-1580. That's the number. Of course, I have a whole bunch of different stories going on in the news, Dr. Abdullah, that I would love to get your thoughts about and, know what angle you're taking or what actions you have are recommending or have seen in connection with them. But you guys are going to the city council meeting today?
We're headed out to city council meeting this morning at 10 o'clock. So today is the last day to make public comments about the budget, and it's working. So people should know it's working. And I know sometimes it feels like doing things like making public comment doesn't make a difference, but it does. We know that the BAS budget had almost 2,000 layoffs planned for city workers. But because of advocacy, we're seeing that plan rolled back, where the initial layoff number was 1,650 layoffs planned. Now that's cut by 1,000, so 650 layoffs are still planned, but that's 1,000 city jobs saved. And remember that Black people, as Black Lives Matter, that's who we're advocating for most, right? But that Black people make up a disproportionate number of public sector jobs. So we're talking about saving lots of Black jobs. We're talking about even when we think about policing, that we don't need more police on the streets as much as we need people who can actually move the work of the city. And so we've had some courage from some of the members of the Budget and Finance Committee. So today is the last day for folks to come out and make public comment. So if you think that we should save our youth department, if you think that we should invest more in housing, and one of the things that's happening is them trying to block the city controller from doing an audit of what's happening with some of the housing programs. If these are things that are important to you, your voice does change policy. So we'll be out at City Hall today at 10 a.m. Making public comment. You don't have to be, have every fact in order to make public comment. You only get a minute anyway, right? So come and say what you think is important. And it does change policy. So that's today at 10 a.m. at City Hall, and then City Council is supposed to vote on the budget tomorrow.
Yeah. So this is the moment. This is the time. And speaking of the budget and the city, there's a new lawsuit from a LAPD commander who says she was demoted after raising the fact that some officers were not turning on their body cams. She's filed a whistleblower suit and that suit was filed May 12th. This is Commander Natalie Cortez. Here's the thing. This, to me, this was something that happened under Chief Michael Moore, but to me it points to one of our budget problems, which is the constant payouts on behalf of the LAPD, whether it's people who are killed or brutalized by police, or these kind of internal discriminatory actions. It's just a constant flow of money out of our wallets as taxpayers and into the pockets of whoever many times, will never get justice. They won't get their loved ones back. But this is one of the big, big factors in our budget hole of the moment, right?
That's right. And again, our city controller, Kenneth Mejia, is exposing a lot of that when we look at this $1 billion budget shortfall that we're facing, a huge portion of that, the majority of it, in fact, is because of LAPD. So these raises where other city departments are laying folks off, LAPD is giving raises, right? And the mayor signed off on that. But the other point that you're making is these lawsuits. So LAPD has hundreds of millions of dollars in payouts for misconduct that has put the city on the brink of bankruptcy. That we have to remember that when you talk about police accountability is not just a matter of what's just and what's right? We have to hold police who are brutalizing folks and wreaking havoc in community accountable because it's right. But it's also a prudent fiscal step. So when we talk about, wealth building Wednesdays, right? How do we have wealth in the city? Well, part of it is to behave responsibly and demand that the police department be held accountable so that they don't continue to wreak havoc and be held responsible by civil courts that bleed taxpayer dollars. And so that's one of the things that we're looking at as we're talking about the budget, that part of the reason that we're facing this shortfall, in fact, the majority of the reason is because of LAPD.
I mean, there's a story in the LA Times, a really interesting story about how supposedly cops call it the LAPD lottery, where they just sue the department and try to win a whole bunch of money. And we've paid out almost $70 million over 5 years just on lawsuits filed by cops against the department. So they're just, aside from the actual so-called costs of policing, they're like a leak in our city budget between their internal problems of management and their external problems of killing and brutalizing people. It's like, how do you balance a budget when you have literally tens of millions of dollars flowing out, and that doesn't even come out of their budget? That's out of the general fund. I don't see how that makes sense. If you're going to be costing the city money, that should come out of your budget. That would give you more of an incentive to rein that mess in, because you would be hurting your other line items.
That's right. And I just want to underline what you said, that figure is a very small portion of the overall lawsuits. So that's the internal suits when this officer, when she filed the suit, right? That's a very small portion of it. And I wanted to build in a point about the police association. The LAPPL actually backed LAPD, not their member who was unjustly fired, is the accusation, right? But the 70 million figure is a very small portion. We're talking about hundreds of millions that come from the public as well.
Yeah. And of course, you always say this, but there's a report it's really an analysis of the mapping police violence data that shows that the LAPD is the most violent police department in the country, with almost 200 people killed between 2013 and 2025, which, according to this analysis, is 6 times higher than the national average of 33 people killed by police. That's pretty startling.
Right. So LAPD kills more people and consistently kills more people than any other law enforcement unit in the country. And we know you mentioned Michael Moore, and we have to remember that we've had 2 BYE campaigns, right? BYE campaigns for LAPD chiefs. We wanted to get rid of Charlie Beck. We were able to do that. We wanted to, and this is Black Lives Matter Los Angeles, we pushed to get rid of Michael Moore. We were able to do that. And now when we look at Jim McDonnell, who we never wanted in the first place, right, who we think was the absolute worst choice of police chiefs that the mayor could appoint when we talked about who the finalists were, Jim McDonnell continues to prove that he is misleading LAPD and enabling these lawsuits, which, again, you have tens of millions filed internally as a result of internal misconduct, but I think it's something like 358 million or more that's filed by the public. And so it's really important to remember that when we say police accountability, we're talking about fiscal savings. And then finally, when you mention mapping police violence, we want listeners to go to mappingpoliceviolence.us, mappingpoliceviolence.us. That's the work of Sam Singyawe. Mapping Police Violence actually underwent something very similar to Black Lives Matter Grassroots, where the person who's been leading the work and doing the work for years and continues to do the work humbly and quietly, in partnership with a bunch of volunteers, and volunteer scholars had his work stolen by others. So it's mappingpoliceviolence.us. That's the real Mapping Police Violence.
Mm-hmm. Got a lot to talk about. Dr. Melina Abdullah is with me, and you're invited in. Always 800-920-1580. We're unapologetically progressive. KBLA Talk 1580.
More of First Things First with Dominique DiPrima when we come forward.
I'm Bree Wood with BIN News Now. Former Atlanta Mayor Keisha Lance Bottoms is running for Georgia governor. She pledges to expand Medicaid and bring change to the state. Lance Bottoms says she's energized with the launch of her campaign.
I feel great. The momentum has been extraordinary. It's been great to talk about the campaign and to share with people how I plan to fight for Georgia.
If elected, she'd be Georgia's first Democratic governor in over 20 years. Elon Musk will reportedly reduce his political spending. The tech billionaire is planning to give less financial contributions after flowing millions of dollars into the 2024 presidential election and other campaigns. And Kendrick Lamar's Not Like Us just made history, becoming the first rap song to spend 52 straight weeks on the Billboard Hot 100. Released last May, it's still going strong at number 22. Get BIN News Now on demand 24/7 on the iHeartRadio app.
Right now, there are young people across the world facing a tough choice: continue their dream of education or drop out to help their family put food on the table. You can help change their future in a single moment. See how far your support can go at unbound.org.
Is this the time? This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
Game 1 in the NBA Western Conference Finals goes to Oklahoma City. OKC used a dominant second half Tuesday night to pull away for a 114-88 win at home over Minnesota. Game 2 in the best of 7 is Thursday night at OKC. Indiana and New York meet up tonight in Game 1 of the Eastern Conference Finals, 4 p.m. tip-off LA time. The Dodgers snapped their 4-game losing streak. They beat Arizona 4-3 in 10 innings. The Angels won their 5th straight. They beat Oakland 7-5, longest winning streak for the Angels since June 11, 2023. NFL owners voted Tuesday to allow NFL players to compete in flag football in the Summer Olympics here in LA in 2028. The Summer Games in LA will be the first for flag football as an Olympic sport. The Olympics are scheduled for July 14th to the 30th. That could be a problem for NFL players. Most NFL teams start their training camp within those 2 weeks. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson on KBLA Talk 1580.
The Comedy Connection series featuring KBLA's Zoe Williams, the voice of reason, and the alpha male of comedy, Ray Grady. We're going to transform relationship disasters into stand-up material live at Inglewood's Miracle Theater on May 31st at 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. My clinical team will disclose all of your dating woes, while the alpha male of comedy, Ray Grady, has hand-selected supremely talented comedians to roast all of our tragic relationship choices. I dare you to bring your ex's phone number, because Ray, he's going to text it live, and the crowd will be sourcing emojis. Tickets are moving swiftly, so don't hesitate to grab yours at themiracleinglewood.com before I diagnose your dating history as a pre-existing condition.
Thanks for starting your morning off with a voice that speaks truth to power and the powerless, getting to the heart of what matters most in our community. This is where authentic conversation meets real action. From breaking news and politics to culture and community solutions, this is where you hear perspectives you won't hear anywhere else. This is where we come together, get informed, and make change happen. You're inside First Things First with Dominique DiPrima on KBLA Talk 1580.
You make my day.
I can't believe how spotless my floors look after using the Swiffer Power Mop. No more dragging around a heavy mop and messy bucket. Now I get the same deep clean without all the work. Thanks to the powerful solution and scrubbing pad of the Swiffer Power Mop, dirt and grime don't stand a chance, and I don't break a sweat. Mic drop. Mop drop.
Swiffer Power Mop. Swiffer Power Mop.
A smarter way to mop. Try it or your money back.
When the flames subside, who ensures that the stories endure? At KBLA Talk 1580, we're committed to preserving the voices that shape our community. We know people have short memories, and as long as this Black Talk radio station is on the air, we will not let Altadena be forgotten. We are honored to announce that the Altadena Historical Society will officially archive our recent town hall, alongside every episode of Conversation Live, Altadena Rising with James Farr. This is the show of record, the definitive source for tracking Altadena's roots, resilience, recovery, and reunion. These stories will now live on for students, scholars, researchers, and journalists seeking truth and legacy in the months and years to come. Because history isn't just made, it's honored, it's recorded, and it's passed forward. We're KBLA Talk 1580, and we've got your black. Thanks for waking up with Dominique DiPrima on KBLA Talk 1580.
Yeah, thank you. And you're welcome, because we up together. Andrew 920-1580. And so is Dr. Melina Abdullah. But look, never fear. You can hear her a little later at 8 o'clock to 10 o'clock Saturday mornings on This Is Not a Drill on the same station, KBLA Talk 1580. If you've missed my show or you missed Dr. Abdullah's show, find them where you get your podcasts. They're free. You can get caught up and all that good stuff. So,
right. And this week we're coming live from Minneapolis. So if you want to know what's happening on the ground in the Twin Cities, we're going to be coming live from Minneapolis, where we're lifting up the spirit of George Floyd. We'll be in George Floyd Square and be with his family. His uncle is scheduled to join us on the show on Saturday, 8 to 10.
Amazing. So there was a really compelling article on KQED, which talks about how student organizers are trying to adapt to these new regulations, rules, really repression that's happening on not just university, but also high school campuses. But mostly they're talking about universities and how now they have these place and manner rules where they can shut students down, take away their degrees, take away their ability to even sit for finals. We saw that at NYU. I thought that was insane. Those law students, they forced them to decide between ever protesting or having the ability to go and take their finals. And what they're saying is that students are taking different tactics like tabling and doing boycotts and petitions as opposed to encampments because of the punitive measures that universities are taking. I know that Black Lives Matter Grassroots, the real Black Lives Matter, has a Hands Off Students campaign. What are you seeing?
Yeah, it's really, really sad and sick and an indicator of where we are in this country. And, you hear me all the time talk about fascism, and we talk all the time about right-wing fascism and, what this Trump-Musk-Vance regime means and the absolute evil that's coming out of this regime. But we have to remember that places of liberalism are not forming the kind of protection against fascism that we are sometimes taught to believe is being held there, right, on university campuses, which by and large tend to be more liberal spaces, right, which claim to say what we're doing is engaging in the life of the mind and developing intellectualism and talking and sharing ideas. What we're seeing is a closing in on that, right, that there is these liberal institutions are not protecting students or faculty or community so that we can talk about ideas, talk about a free Palestine, talk about what we mean by diversity, equity, and inclusion, talk about, you want to know what CRT is? Then you should take my critical race theory class, right? There's a whole body of literature on it, right? So what is critical race theory? What does Kimberly Crenshaw mean, right? What does Richard Delgado mean, right? And so that's what universities are supposed to be. But what we're seeing throughout this country, including right here in California, is universities capitulate to fascism. And so we're seeing time, place, and manner rules. And I know people who are not on campuses or haven't been for the last year are going, what is that? Because when we think about what universities are, in addition to the classrooms, you always see public space, the yards, as being as spaces where people talk about ideas. Well, that's being banned. They have, last year, the state legislature passed a law creating on all university campuses in California time, place, and manner rules, saying that you have free speech zones and free speech times, which means that if you dare to speak on my campus outside of King Hall, get the irony of that, outside of Martin Luther King Jr. Hall, you are in violation of the time, place, and manner rule, and you can be both have kind of the university come down on you. You can be brought in by the university, but you can also be criminalized for those acts. So what we're seeing in the Cal States, and I know you've talked to Angel Marie Taylor about it, disciplinary action is the word I was looking for. Disciplinary action. We've had Angel Marie Taylor talk about what's happening to her at Cal State Channel Islands. But if people were watching even the NYU graduation where the speaker said he'd already graduated, and the speaker said, I couldn't in good conscience be standing here and not speak about the genocide. And saying something that shouldn't be controversial, that genocide is wrong, NYU is revoking his diploma as a result. One of our own members, Aya, who is an early member of the Black Lives Matter Youth Vanguard, was part of to ending random searches in LAUSD schools, is graduating from Columbia University. Today should be her Columbia University graduation. But she dared to be a part of a teach-in in a library on May 7th, right? Which is what libraries are for. And she was one of 80 Columbia students who was rounded up. arrested, and now barred from graduation. So 4 years of earning straight A's, being a model student, paying tuition, scrimping and saving, and now they're trying to block her from even getting a degree. So this is what's happening at universities around the country, and this is why Black Lives Matter Grassroots says hands off students.
I feel like there should be some kind of lawsuit because that to me is consumer fraud. If I pay my bill for 4 years, do all of the requirements of your work, turning everything in, how can you take away the product, i.e. the diploma, the degree? It seems, you could condemn me or say that I'm I guess, terrorist, for whatever you want to name call me, but to actually take away the degree, I feel like they either have to give those people their money back or they've got to give them the degree with an asterisk or whatever. I just don't see how that's legal.
I don't see how it's legal either, and it's absolutely not moral. We are appreciative of who's been out front on this is CARE, Council for American Islamic Relations, and they're representing both Muslims and non-Muslims, trying to first get them graduated. But if they're not able to get them graduated, also looking into all of those options. As college parents, and you and I are both college parents, I couldn't imagine, having my children, and I'm grateful that my child, who was involved in the encampments and is involved in the Free Palestine movement, that they went to an HBCU, which we haven't heard of them taking back degrees, right? And so they did graduate from Howard University despite participation in encampments and other forms of protest. I'm not saying HBCUs do everything right, but at least they're not doing everything wrong like Columbia and NYU and other places.
Yeah, it's a great point. And by the way, congratulations to your child for that monumental achievement of having graduated from anywhere in this day and age. And congratulations to you, because being a college parent is a whole big project. Talking with Dr. Melina Abdullah. When we come forward, I want to look at, you did something really special to commemorate 100 years of the life of, 100 years of the presence, I should say, of El-Hajj Malik Shabazz. His heavenly birthday was Monday the 19th. We'll talk about that when we come forward and more on KBLA Talk 1580.
A safe place to go loud. A great place for progressive politics. KBLA Talk 1580.
This is Joe Cordell of Cordell & Cordell. Cordell & Cordell is the largest family law firm in the country, with over 35 years of helping clients navigate divorce. That does give us certain advantages, for example, in focus and resources. But being big doesn't mean less personal or less local. Our attorneys live and work in your community, and as neighbors, they understand the challenges your families face. If you're a guy facing divorce, remember, Cordell & Cordell, a partner you can count on.
1455 Frazee, San Diego. CordellCordell.com.
This is the story of the one. As a lineman, he does whatever it takes to keep the power on in his community. And he wants a partner like Grainger who does the same. Grainger offers the professional-grade products he needs, from voltage detectors to harnesses to hard hats, plus fast, dependable delivery, so he can rise to every challenge. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Looking for a purposeful and passionate way to make a difference in your community? Volunteer with our Senior Medicare Patrol and help prevent Medicare fraud. S&P volunteers work in their community educating peers about healthcare fraud and how to prevent and detect it. Free training starts soon. Check us out online or at an S&P open house near you. We're on a mission to stop fraud. Join our team. You make a difference. Visit caspvolunteer.org. Protect yourself from Medicare card scams. Scammers may call, email, or even knock on your door claiming they need your Medicare info, asking for money or threatening to cancel your benefits. Don't fall for it. It's a scam. Remember, Medicare doesn't need to verify your information. They already have it. Medicare won't charge you for a new card and will never threaten to cancel benefits. Check your Medicare statements for suspicious charges and report scams to the California Senior Medicare Patrol at 1-855-613-7080. We're here to help.
KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580, connecting you with services and solutions. The Los Angeles Regional Food Bank is on a mission to fight hunger and provide nutritious food to those in need across our community. They partner with federal, state, and local programs advocating for better policies and funding for critical hunger relief programs like Cow Fresh, the Emergency Food Assistance Program, and the Child and Adult Care Food Program. The food bank works with coalitions and local representatives to make sure hunger is addressed in every district of LA County. They also run nutrition education campaigns, raise hunger awareness, and source nutritious food for distribution, all while supporting regulations that allow food pantries to operate safely. Want to help? Visit lafoodbank.org or call 323-234-3030 to volunteer or find a food bank near you. Together, we can ensure that no one goes hungry in Los Angeles County. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
Broadcasting live from Leimert Park, USA. Welcome back to your home for unapologetically progressive radio. KBLA Talk 1580.
Man, time flies when you're on the radio. We're talking with Dr. Melina Abdullah, and the protest section of George Floyd's 5-year Angel-versary commemoration is today.
That's right. So meet us in these streets. So actually, two things. Meet us in City Hall this morning at 10 a.m. Remember when we talk about defunding the police, that was a clarion call 5 years ago when George Floyd was murdered. We know that tinkering around the edges of a fundamentally unjust system won't do it, won't cut it. And so we need to make sure we pour resources in the things that actually make us safe rather than continuing to spend on an LAPD that's bringing us to the brink of bankruptcy. I feel like a rapper today. Bringing us to the brink of bankruptcy. Right? And so we want to make sure that we're there 10 a.m. at City Hall to make public comment. But then at 4, we're meeting to protest and rally in the name of George Floyd. Also remembering that what happened to George Floyd happens to folks throughout this country, including right here in Los Angeles, and that who's enabling this entire criminal system of injustice is both these police associations and a district attorney who in many ways is like the Trump of Los Angeles County, really giving a pass to police, saying that they get absolute immunity. You know, remember he fired the special prosecutor that was supposed to be looking into police killings. So we're saying Nathan Hochman must go. And we're also lifting up reparations now. We're lifting up defund the police. We're saying abolish ICE. And I know most folks think that ICE is targeting largely migrants who come in from Latin America, and we don't want them targeted either. But we also have to remember that Black people, as with everything, are being disproportionately targeted. So they're targeting Black migrants from the Caribbean and from the continent. And so we're saying abolish ICE. And then we are still saying free Palestine and Black lives still matter. So that's today, 4 p.m. at 211 West Temple, and it's going to be a good time too, and lots of organizations are participating. Everybody from our usual partners like Los Angeles Community Action Network, White People for Black Lives, Centro CSO, to people you don't always expect to partner with BLM, which are places like the NAACP and the National Action Network. Those organizations will also be out there with us today, and we want you out there with us today.
Absolutely. So the commemoration, the celebration of the 100-year heavenly birthday of Malcolm X, a.k.a. El-Hajj Malik al-Shabazz, technically was yesterday. Some folks are celebrating the whole year. Tell me about what you participated in.
I love the idea of a year of celebration. Monday I was going, this is over too quickly. But we got to remember what Minister Malcolm represented and what his spirit still gives to this world and to all of us. Anybody who feels called into justice, Minister Malcolm's spirit resonates with us. And so I was really, really fortunate to have been invited to be a part of an international delegation to Grenada. And people are going, why Malcolm X in Grenada? Well, Malcolm X's mother, Louise Langdon Little, is from Grenada. And so we went to her hometown, actually the space where she was born in Grenada. And a memorial site was erected by the Institute for the Black World. And about 25 of us convened for 5 days in Grenada. And we talked about everything from the importance of art to one of the things that really sat with me is the importance of raising your children in conscious households, right? That Malcolm X didn't just come from nowhere. His parents were UNIA members. His father was actually lynched for being a member of the UNIA, killed on a train track for being a member of the UNIA. His mother was put inside an insane asylum for 25 years for being a member of the UNIA. And so we have to remember that people like Minister Malcolm come out of households of consciousness. And so we were able to honor Louise Langdon Little. Part of that delegation included Marcus Garvey's son, Dr. Julius Garvey. There were brilliant minds like Dr. Julianne Malveaux, and our own brother Baba Akili was with us, leaders in the movement for Black Lives. The Bandeles, Lumumba and Monifa Bandele were with us. Nana Jomfi from Black Alliance for Just Immigration was with us. So all of these thinkers and organizers were there, and we got to be in the space where we literally sat at each other's feet and just learned and talked. And I love the way Dr. Malveaux, anytime she researches something, she does it so deliberately. And so she really did a beautiful job of bringing Louise Langdon Little to life for us and reminded us also of the spirit of Grenada. So we visited the family home of President Maurice Bishop, when he was one of the leaders of the revolution in Grenada. So it ignited also that revolutionary spirit and revolutionary energy. It was really beautiful. And so we're grateful to the Institute for the Black World, remembering that we are a Black world, for convening us. And it was so restorative to me.
Yeah, well, I love the idea, in which I've seen myself with my own eyes in my travels in Africa, of the international celebration and recognition of African American, Black American leaders, and the impact, the recognition and understanding of their impact on international movements for liberation.
That's right. That's right. And I mean, when we see stuff closing in here in the United States, sometimes we got to look other places for inspiration, right? And that's always been the case. When we think about Kwame Ture, when he was talking about Black Power, he wasn't just talking about Black Power in New York. In fact, his family comes from the Caribbean, right? And when we think about where he wound up being in the continent of Africa and gaining inspiration from Ghana, and I think that here in moments of fascism, we got to remember that there is an Ibrahim Traore in Burkina Faso, and there is. Did you read about this? I got this news from Instagram, so the number could be off. But did you read about these? What is it? $20 trillion worth of gold being discovered in Uganda, and this new president coming into Uganda. It could be an Instagram rumor, so I'm just giving that caveat. But I saw it on Instagram that this massive gold mine was discovered in Uganda, just as it's at the time that a really revolutionary leader is taking office or possibly taking office in Uganda. So we can draw inspiration from the world, draw inspiration from the new woman president of Namibia. And it reminds us that, these next 3 years and whatever number of months we got left with this fool in office won't last always. And the United States is not the only place in the world.
Well, I have heard something about it. I don't know the numbers, and I haven't been able to find a credible source to give me anything, although the Telegraph of London reports that, there's a new gold rush in Uganda. So that seems to back it up. It's always, it's like when they discovered those deep oil reserves in Senegal. It made me sad because I felt like there goes that country as,
Well,
Western.
it depends, because if you have great leadership who is if they're a decolonial leader, that could be resources for the entire region. When you're talking about resources in the trillions, keep the colonizers out and use it for the people. And, I know I'm going to leave on something controversial, but, you got to think about what Gaddafi did, right? We got to think about what Nyerere did with the resources in Tanzania, that you can create 100% literacy. You can, make sure everybody has everything that they need to eat and grow and be. And so if you have good leadership and you keep the colonizers out, then we're talking about transforming the region and the world.
All righty. Well, and we could do a whole other hour on that, and perhaps we will. But right now, I'm going to hand the mic to you. We got a minute left. What do you want to leave us with?
We want to leave that change, organizing matters. Change can come when we organize. And so that means we need everybody to be the change, right? Be the change. Meet us at City Hall this morning at 10 a.m. That's 200 North Spring Street, 3rd floor. That's City Council chambers, where we're going to speak out for the kind of budget that we want. We want a people's budget. And then meet us this afternoon at 4 o'clock at 211 West Temple, so that we can organize and uplift the spirit of George Floyd, and then follow BLM Grassroots on all social media, BLM Los Angeles on Instagram, BLM LA on X, so that we can keep doing the work that's necessary so that we can live in a world that's fit for ourselves, our children, and for future generations. And I'm very grateful to you for having me this morning, Dominique.
Absolutely. Thank you for coming on. And, of course, thank you for the great work you're doing. And let's say his name, George Floyd. Let's say his name.
George Floyd.
Ashe. BLM Grassroots on all platforms. Don't follow Black Lives Matter. BLK Lives Matter. If you're following them, just unfollow, because they are imposters. Dr. Melina Abdullah, thank you. We're continuing our conversation when we come forward after news, traffic, and sports, only right here.
KBLA 1580 Santa Monica.
I'm Bree Wood with BIN News Now. Former Atlanta.
The momentum has been extraordinary. It's been great to talk about the campaign and to share with people how I plan to fight